Hey everyone, welcome to Facebook Live. I want to first apologize if this isn't the best, live because of the way it's situated. There's like a cell phone holder in this car, but it doesn't quite center properly, and of course I'm driving. So, but I did want to go on here today because I want to talk about the legal protests we're going to be doing on Tuesday, May 11th, 2021. The location itself, you have to actually inbox me, but it's called Expose New York, and I'm here to talk about that today. I have a little bit of time. I figured I'd hop on here. I'm going to ask everybody, since I haven't been on Facebook Live for quite a while. I've done a few YouTube lives, but we've been extremely busy and we've had a lot going on overall. And if anybody pays attention at all to what's happening in the world, the state of New York, that's like a twofold message, is in a big mess. The state of New York is a big mess. I have recordings like you cannot imagine. I have massive recordings that eventually, we're working on so many projects, but they're all literally, and hi everybody, thanks for joining. I appreciate you guys joining, and I appreciate you guys sharing, liking. Let me just actually do a quick opening introduction real quick for you guys, and then I'll get into the meat and the bones of everything that we're doing right now. Okay, so first and foremost, I'm Francesca Amato. I am the nonprofit owner of Punished for Protecting Incorporated, and the best-selling book, Punished for Protecting the Injustice System of Family Court, which really incorporates everything that we see happening in the world today. I mean, that book is genuinely prophetic. The more I realize it as time goes on, and I see what is happening in the world, it actually blows my mind. And yes, we've had some changes and so on and so forth, and we've had lots of battle, lots of great results, all kinds of stuff that goes on, and the war just kind of rages. But that book, I really do highly recommend you get, and it's in the description below. Also is my YouTube channel, Punish No More and Free to Protect, which we'll get into that. And then I also have below, if you'd like to book a talk. Now there's 2 more books that are coming out. I was hoping to have them out within a year. It's probably going to take a little bit longer total time. One of them is going to be the sequence to Punished for Protecting the Injustice System of Family Court. Punish No More and Free to Protect will be the second book, with the war that's raged after the writing of that first book. And then I Survived a Narcissist, You Can Too. I Survived a Narcissist, You Can Too. These are great books. I mean, they're really awesome, and they're very helpful for life. So I wanted to come on here today because, I'm just going to talk about the state of New York, and I know that people all across the country really should pay attention to what's happening and the kind of the lack of focus that's on New York. I mean, they had some focus for a while, being the great melting pot that it is, being one of the most corrupt states in the country. Being completely, we feel like the criminally insane are running this state. But I think it's important because these kind of infiltration is throughout our entire country, and what's going on in our country on a whole. And we have other states that are free. Florida is doing phenomenally. Thank you to the governments that's there. Thank you that, the normal natural freedoms exist in the state of Florida. We are not seeing that in New York State. Let me pull the window up. We have a governor here, as everybody knows. He was talked about massively on the news, and now you don't hear much. He has the audacity. The other day, I watched him the other day while he literally blamed the 15,000 deaths of the elderly on President Trump. Like, what a wackadoodle. And the projection and the narcissism and the flipping is absolutely mind-blowing to me. But because I can detect narcissism so easily, I think anybody can detect it on him, anyone, I don't care who you are. But I mean, to listen to this man say this, and then he flips it like the Republicans didn't learn anything. Now, I'm neither Democrat nor Republican. I'm not a party. If I have to be, I pull out party in order to do what I need to do, to accomplish what I need to accomplish. But I'm all about, human rights, and I'm all about, obviously, proper parental rights, not improper parental rights. I'm not about the 50-50 custody, as you guys all know, especially with an abuser. children should not be split down the middle. Okay, that's biblical wisdom. Good normal parents, if they split up, they know they're healthy normal people that split up. They don't even need a family court. They don't go to family court. Okay, they do the right thing amongst themselves and children, and generally there's a proper order and there's a norm that has always worked, that will always work, and that's why it's not working today. The motherless home syndrome that's going on, the psychopathic motherless home, that is far more dangerous than any fatherless home could ever be, which we'll deeply get involved in that. Not to say that good dads shouldn't have access to their children, of course they should, but good dads don't take sole custody of children unless the mother's like a heroin user with a needle hanging out of her arm and they don't have a choice in the matter. Okay, good normal non-abusive men don't do that. Abusers do that. That's been social science research explains that, and so on. But before we get, I don't want to get too much on that subject, because I want to talk about Expose New York, because we have a governor that's actually treacherous. We have a political system in the state of New York, from the very top of the state to the bottom of the state, that is literally infiltrated with corruption. Now, obviously, anybody that believes in having law enforcement, that's one thing, okay? But we cannot deny the fact that, waving to one of my police officer friends right now, we cannot deny the fact that the state of New York is full of corrupt officers. Corrupt beyond words, okay? Kingston, New York, infiltrated. There are some good ones, but infiltrated because of the whole political realm. The judges, the judicial system, the bar members, and of course I work with various attorneys that I absolutely love, that are very people full of integrity, class, respect, and the whole nine. And then there's these other lunatics that are out there, right, that are destroying lives just because they want to get a paycheck. And then you got all the way down to Long Island. We have the Tommy Balba case with the father who's a police officer. Not only did he abuse and kill his child, he was actually running a child trafficking pedophilia ring right out of his home. That's being covered up till this very day. Okay, mom, excellent mother, amazing woman, and she didn't have access to her children, while they literally had unfettered psychopathic access to these children. And you go before the judge, and the judges are they're crazy. And that's why I say these are criminally insane people. So when you have domestic violence victims, and I work with countless domestic violence victims, and I work with a lot of awesome people, we see that, for example, over 7 years, Governor Cuomo, and I have recordings, which I'm going to play for everybody, we're waiting on certain media outlets to bring some stuff forward, because it's not just the 15,000 elderly he killed, and it's not just the women he fondled, okay? He's ignored the domestic violence victims and the child abuse victims all for over 7 years now. He's been there longer, but for over 7 years, I myself personally, I have recordings. We've done it in writing, we've done it in email, we've done it in fax, we've done it in verbal communications. Outright and blatantly denies and will not and refuses to even have a meeting with any of these actual victims. So what this does is it continues to perpetuate ongoing abuse to the victims and their children. Then you got the crazy family court judges that place children directly into the hands of abusers, leaving them in the lives of abusers with absolutely zero proof of any redemption of their lives, that they've changed in any way, shape, or form, okay? And so this is what I see on a daily, okay? Now, how does this tie into everything? Well, it ties into everything we're seeing. It ties into everything that we're seeing, and this is why we want to expose New York. We don't want to just expose, there's specific, very rogue family court judges, one in particular that likes to retaliate against me. We have, well, I'm going to name some people today, like I like to do, the Bible names them. It named Jezebel until this very day, her name, right? The Bible has always named the corrupt and the evil, while it names the heroes of the faith, right? So I'm going to name somebody today, because I know he watches, so we're all going to do this together. And we're all going to, I want you guys to put in comments. I'd like you guys to put in comments, what you think, what you've been through, what you feel, whether you're in the state of New York or not. But Tuesday, May 11th, we're going to be standing in a certain spot. We're going to be parading as well. People are bringing blowhorns, they're bringing signs. You can name in big letters who you want out that's corrupt, okay? And then whether it be de Blasio, Cuomo, any of the family court judges, whoever, the bar members, the corrupt bar members that take money from the taxpayers and don't work, those people. And without giving my cards away, we do have massive investigations that are going on because throughout the years when we try to do these investigations, everybody covered it under the rugs, but now we've got other people in positions that are actually doing their job. And when they see that, like, year after year, these same complaints keep coming in and the numbers just keep growing, and you want to ignore the constituents of the state of New York and just blow it off or blame it on a jurisdictional boundary, we don't do that, you see, because now you're crossing federal codifications, you're crossing specific lines that you're not legally allowed to cross. You're supposed to be mandated reporters, for example. Oh, and let's talk about public schools. You know, public schools, they just want the funding, so they just want to hold on to kids. So even though we know that many different children are being abused in the worst ways imaginable, they literally won't report even though they're mandated. Or what they do is, anybody that does report, it'll go to a specific police officer. That specific police officer will be labeled on there to go send it to this specific police officer, or that's this specific person, and then they will close the case and say that it's they'll unsubstantiated, okay, or they won't do an actual investigation. There's lawsuits out all over right now that law firms have picked up with regards to all the sexual abuse to children in group homes that were, given by these specific judges, okay, specifically named judges. And even though the children beg these specific named judges to please help them and get them out of these places, the specific named judges would leave them in these places. And now there's massive lawsuits and there's been massive arrests. There's been massive arrests. This isn't some conspiracy theory. This is what's happening in the state of New York. Okay. So it's all coming to a head, and yet I wasn't on the commissions for police reinvention. However, with my group of advocates, who've come together, we've sat in these appointments and we listened to many of these police officers that didn't even put their best face forward. They continued to harass, threaten, falsely arrest, accuse the innocent. Now, I don't know if you know, but Ulster County just literally released a murderer out of prison. A murderer, yes, you can look this up. I'm driving, so I can't, give you the details on that. But they did release him, and it was, to my understanding from what I read, basically Ulster County District Attorney's Office literally made a mistake. And, they make these mistakes every day. But they victimize and re-victimize victims, innocent people, while they literally have this carte blanche for actual criminals. New York State, okay? So I want to draw attention to this state, okay? New York State, and the state of New York, the state that New York is in. Does that make sense? The state that New York is in is not a free state. It's not a good state. It's a beautiful state. We could go back to I love New York again if we have the proper governance. And we don't have that here. But we, the people, rise up. I believe that when I see California, I want to applaud you, California, Democrats, Republicans, Independents, any party that you are removing your nasty governor by over 1 million, well over 1 million required votes. And did you know that the Democrats of California, listen to this, guys, they had to hand check and eye check that there was an actual signature to every vote, and there was. But isn't it hypocritical? Does anybody see how hypocritical that is? Whether who you voted for, shouldn't you care that your voting is done legally and properly? And last I checked, you need a driver's license to drive, and I never knew that to be racist. You need a driver's license. Not that I agree with all of certain things either. I have my own points of views. But you need a college ID to get into college. You need a high school ID to have your high school ID. Identification just shows who you are. And last I checked, whether you're black or white, it's not a racist thing. It's who you are with your name on it and your birth date and your social. So you know who you are. When you go to the bank, do you want someone else going into the bank taking and withdrawing your money? Well, listen, they can walk up to the counter and say, and they could be Johnny White Wonder Bread, and they could walk into the bank and say, I am so-and-so. And if they ask for your ID, and I want to take out $3,000 so I can go on a shopping spree today, and I want to withdraw X amount of dollars from, some other account, and if they ask for ID, you just tell them they're racist. You're racist. And you'll get your money, right? Isn't that how it works now? Like the world has literally, I'm floored by the ignorance. I cannot deal with the ignorance any longer. But anyway, let's go back to this wonderful day. So Tuesday, May 11th, we are doing what's called Expose New York, sponsored by Punish for Protecting. And we are welcoming everybody. So we do have people coming from various parts of New York State. And we have a specific central location that we're going to start at, starting point at 10 o'clock in the morning. And here's some of the things that we're asking you. So please spread this video. We're asking you to spread the word. We're asking you to bring shofars. If you have shofars, please bring them. We want to blow the shofar. The shofar in the Torah, in the Hebrew, in the Messianic Christian, is a if you know how to blow it, it actually activates war. It tears down strongholds. It brings up the righteous. It's got a lot of awesome biblical power. And I want people to bring shofars. If you have them, please bring them. Okay, you can also bring blowhorns so we can speak loud and clear. People can understand us. And make signs. You know, go buy signs if you want to. Make signs, whatever. Less expensive. They're not really expensive. You go to stores and you have them, specific, like t-shirt places, certain ones. They are really good at making nice stuff. You could do that as well. You can always use them again and again. Specific things like judges should have mental health examinations. Judges should have a mandated drug testing frequently. Narcissists and addicts are running our court system. Let's face it. Okay. Attorneys, especially appointed attorneys, they should have these mental health evaluations and drug testing big time. Okay, big time. There's no reason that this judicial system, when you're working in specific areas, and I have seen things run properly in places. I'm going to give you an example, like the Chauvin trial. Those attorneys, opposing or not, whatever you like about, dislike, whatever, those attorneys did not attack one another. They handled it in a very professional way because they're educated people, first of all, number one. You could be an attorney and not be educated. You could be an attorney and not have class. I mean, you could be an attorney, you could have degrees for certain things. It does not mean that you have the intelligence. People get through stuff. They get degrees, and that doesn't mean that they're educated. There's people without degrees that have far more intelligence than people with degrees. And that doesn't, I'm not disputing that there are people with, I honor people that have degrees and that have put the work and the time in and the money, but they have ethics and morals and values that support the degrees that they have. Okay, it's like you're giving somebody something, you're giving somebody a gun, you're giving somebody something that's dangerous, that could be dangerous, it could be used for good, and could be used for evil, right? A gun can save your life, and a gun could kill you, harm you. It could save your life because it could get an intruder away from you, so on and so forth. But you're giving somebody this kind of power, but they don't have the moral compass. They don't have the values, they don't have the moral, they don't have the faith in God, or at least they don't even have the integrity, the values, the morals, the ethics. They don't have that. So they've got this gun in their hand, and they don't care who they hurt, how they hurt. They don't care. They don't care because all they care about is winning, whatever the hell they think they're winning. Because at the end of the day, they're going to be judged by the real one, true, living God, and they're not winning anything. You certainly would not want to be them at the end of their life. You would not want to be them, okay? But there's one in particular, and when I wrote my book, Punish for Protecting the Injustice System of Family Court, so Judge McGinty, clearly written in it, the whole book is about him, okay? The bogus trial transcripts are in that, and how the whole wink, wink, nod, nod that they did, the whole setup. And they continue to be the people that are in the same courtroom. Continue 13 plus years later. Yeah. Oh yeah. We'll get into that. And these people, so it's with Amy Ingram, who my son's fired 2-3 times, and she's still there. We'll get into that. And we've got Andy Gilday. That's the one I want to talk about. So he just recently wrote something up. So now back in 2016, I was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder and anxiety. Now, because I pray and I have a faith in God and I have years of healthy mental health, okay, and because I come from stability and so on and so forth, other people, they may come from like years of abuse or other things. So when stuff happens, it's like it's harder. Plus you learn techniques. Plus I have Christian counseling, I have therapy. When I'm not being attacked by the family court, I'm fine. I'm completely fine. When I'm being attacked by the family court, it puts you right back into that mode again. So what happened with me was that my son's father physically assaulted me with his crazy girlfriend back in 2015, I think it was 2015. I still have the chiropractor like couldn't even fix what was going on with my whole left shoulder because I had Christian in my arms. They tried to rip him out of my care, always sole custody. They tried to rip him out of my care, and the crazy girlfriend threatened to kill me. They were nuts. We had to hide in the van till the police came. It was horrible. He pulled my son's legs. There was contusions on my son's legs. I don't know if you guys even know that this happened. I don't talk about everything. I believe it might be in my book. I don't even remember. And what happened was, after they got arrested, a protection order was placed for me, not the child. Yeah, you heard it right. For me, not the child. So that issue, plus all the prior crazy issues I had to deal with, okay, with this dysfunctional family, this family over there, that issue and the physical assault on my child and I, and the fact that I can't protect my child, caused me to have post-traumatic stress disorder, okay? This is why I'm so strongly advocating for families, so strongly advocating for children, my love for children, so strongly advocating for the American Disability Act, which I've literally become an expert in at this point. I'm actually going to be taking my forensic testing soon, so I can help write forensics for families. I'm working under someone who, yes, is my colleague. I've known her since 2014. I've learned under her. I don't think we've ever had lunch together. But anyway, the therapist at the time that I had met, what happened was I finally got a protection order for my son. My son went and spoke in Orange County now, with a domestic violence advocate in another courtroom where we actually live. Because I don't know if you guys realize, like, I know you guys all know Marlboro, but I'm like more like Bombville. But anyway, so we went in and we spent hours there, hours. And I finally felt heard for the first time in my life. I finally felt heard. I mean, not in my life, but like in this realm of family court insanity. Insanity. The place is insane. It's insane. Normal sane people go in and have to have insane people judge your life and order your life. That in and of itself is such a lack of, I don't know what was the Civil War for. So what happened was, after sitting and they spoke with my child, they watched videos. We had videos of attacks, and you should have seen stuff that never made it into the court because the court doesn't want it. They saw all the police reports on the father and the years of domestic violence with women and children. Mind you, he blames the women and children. He's the person involved in all of these things, but he blames the women and children. It's always them. It's always them, women and children. And this goes on until this very day. The history, the ongoing history, which he blames me for. Mind you, this guy's been in jail since he's 14 years old. I didn't know him until he was, I think, almost 40, maybe? I don't even remember, to be honest with you. 30s, late 30s. And I'm the blame. I'm the blame. You talk about narcissism and you talk about, but anyway, part of your learning experience, the part of your education is their learning experiences of what you actually have to live through, right? Anyway, they instantly, after this time spent with this woman, she did an amazing job, okay? How I work with people. Right before the judge, we went, and instant, I was like in awe. I was shocked. Instant protection order for both of us. Dear Lord above. And it gave me some peace. Now, I had already, wasn't diagnosed yet. My son was, but I wasn't at that point. And because, you're going through this trauma and you're going through these experiences and you don't even know what's happening to you, and you don't even realize, and I know many of you can relate to this, and I'm going to probably do another like mental health interview with Adam soon. If he's watching, if you watch later, Adam, we should, because I've got so much background on this. So I didn't even get diagnosed at that point yet. Didn't know. Like, I'm just still in this like modality of just dying to protect my child, like normalcy. Let's leave us alone, and just let us live our lives. My family has the potential to be extremely successful people in life. And when I talk about success, I'm talking about like not just being able to well support your family and all that kind of stuff, but others, but to be an asset to others in the world. Okay, an asset, that type of a success, that you're an asset to others, that you can build up others and they can become assets to others, right? Which I feel is the biblical proper protocol. And so you know, like, what is up with this dude? You know, like, what is up with this? And why won't the court protect you? At that point in time, it was Marianne Mizell, and I had started meeting other victims, and I started holding these meetings kind of like prior to that. And in these meetings, I would pack rooms, and I'd be like, wow, this is crazy. Like, this is really going on. Like, you're in such shell shock. And so what happened at this point was, I had to go back into, so they had Marianne Mizell who recused herself because we had started this whole thing where we were writing supporting depositions at the Ulster County Sheriff's Department, and they were taking them at that time. And at that time, we were saying, like, if Penal Code 26010 clearly states that you shouldn't place your children in the hands of abusers, basically it's in essence what it says. I've talked about this repeatedly. Like, and if it's the normal, natural thing that you would protect your children, why in the world? I mean, I've literally seen CPS take children from CPS Family Court, obviously as a judge that has to make the order, take children from domestic violence victims to get away from their abuser and tell them to have their abuser leave, even when the abuser's not an abuser. Okay, they falsely accuse non-abusers, but they embrace real abusers. We know that there's that backwards thing going on, but I've seen them take these children from the victim to keep them safe. You know, we know that their whole thing is flipped backwards, but like, if it's supposed to be that way, right? The way it's supposed to be. So why would it be completely opposite when I hit a court and I'm doing the right thing? Doing the right thing. Okay, so now you've got this drug addict, alcoholic, abusive person, okay, and you've got this court system that's not protecting you. So Marianne Mizell didn't protect me and all these other mothers, and some of these children have been through horrific abuse that's still ongoing. It's ongoing right now, this day. It's going on. It's still happening. We're talking years, okay? I entered into that hellhole in 2008. And it's still going on. And it's been going on long before I ever went there. And many of you already understand how crazy the family court system is. Okay? Anything that takes your fundamental liberty interest, your children, violating all the laws of everything that we hold dear, okay? Every law. The laws don't need to be changed. That's why Florida just did what it did about the parental rights. They just supported it. Basically what they said is the laws are already here. I've been saying that from the start. Laws are already here. Laws are here. They're just not being followed. Okay, their policies, procedures, and practices are not laws. Okay, so just because this entity decides to do what it wants with you, no informed consent, you just walk in, you don't know. I would never take myself there unless I have to fight to get my child back to keep him safe. But I would never would I go to these people. I would never, especially knowing what I know now and how insane they are. Why the hell would anybody? That's like going to an abuser and saying, can you like make some decisions for my life? Or going to an addict and saying, I know you're not sober minded, even when you're sober, because your brain is already in the unsober mode, right? Why? I'm going to go to you and I'm going to ask you for some good, healthy advice. No. Right? I mean, they're all talking about Josh Duggar now. Look at all these different, YouTubers talking about, they're appalled by the fact that the judge gave him access to these children while he's under investigation for child pornography. Well, honey, I see this every day. Don't be shocked. Don't trust your government, because these same people, if they divorce and go into a family court and he's exonerated, they will give him unfettered access without supervision to those children. And he will have the freedom and carte blanche. I'm not accusing him either. I believe in due process, so I'm not going there. I'm simply using it as an example. I will not go there, as a matter of fact. But I'm simply saying, because I look at things in a logical way, he could have been set up. I don't know. I'm not going to say I know, because I wasn't there. So that would be really ignorant of me, just because I want to take a side. I'm simply saying, let's use that because it's in the public eye. It's large in the public eye. They will give him so he can just molest his children and molest and molest and molest. And she will fight, and this is what will happen. Guaranteed. I guarantee that. I guarantee that's what would happen. I guarantee it. Sometimes it's wiser to stay. Okay, that's why Barry Goldstein wrote the book, Too Scared to Leave, or whatever, I forget how it is, but Afraid to Stay, Too Scared to Leave type of thing. Because you're better off saving your children to some degree than no degree at all. Okay? So let's lead back to Andy Gilday. Okay, that's why we're talking to part of like Expose New York and what's going on, and it's so many of these just corrupt, which is what we're going to be doing. So please join us Tuesday. But okay, so we go back to she recuses, and we all end up with this McGinty guy. Now, mind you, he should have never been my judge then, but I didn't know enough then that I know now. because I had already done a rally in front of the court. I did the first rally for reform in front of Ulster County Family Court when it was the barn on Lucas Avenue. I call it the barn. And that's where I got a taste of the insanity. I couldn't believe. I honestly could not believe. Like, I could not believe. I just couldn't believe. Like, I just couldn't believe the low standards. They didn't even know what the gold standard was. They didn't know Guild A didn't know the difference between the actual Supreme Court and then, because there's a Supreme Court on Wall Street in Kingston. So he didn't understand that. He didn't, I mean, anyway. He didn't understand that there's a real Supreme Court, you know, there's a Court of Appeals, the actual Supreme Court, whatever. You have no idea the attacks and the insanity and the lack of professionalism and the unethics and so on. But anyway, so we all got McGinty, and I had already exposed McGinty and knew that he was a mother hater, knew this man was a misogynist mother hater. Most of these people don't have their own biological children either, so they don't know what it's like to love children, okay? A lot of them, they're a part of this whole adoption Ponzi, evil black market of adoption, steal children, foster kids, get your quota kind of thing, you know, stuff houses with children and they're not being cared for properly and all this sick stuff that goes on, money making, money grab thing. So they don't know that, they don't understand, you know, they don't have that love, they don't have that genuine, they don't have that, and that's something they have no authority over. They have zero authority over love. They have zero authority over God. They have zero authority over your bond with your children. They have zero authority over that. They can take, rip, stare, kill, hurt. They can do all that stuff. They can do all this illegality. They can do all this stuff, but they don't have that authority. Remember that. They do not have Christ's authority. They do not have the authority of love. That's why God says that out of all the weapons of our warfare, love is the greatest of all. They don't even comprehend it. They can't. They hate you because you have it, and they don't even know that because they're lost. They don't understand that. That's what you're seeing in the world today, the warfare. They don't understand the difference between saved and un. They don't comprehend that, because how could they? There's a great chasm, the Bible says, between life and death. They don't comprehend it, and it says the darkness doesn't comprehend the light. It doesn't, it can't. And that's something that they'll never even understand. I speak this now, and as they watch, they don't know what I'm talking about, but many of you do, right? Because we have the light of Christ in our lives. They have rituals, they have religion, possibly, or whatever they have, but they don't have that. And they don't have authority over that. They can never. That is God-given authority, and they don't have that. So they can't comprehend it. So they can't have that moral that others have, that people have, that respect. They can't have that. It's impossible. Okay. So they can't have that discerning. They can't judge properly. It's unrighteous judges versus just judging versus righteous judging. The Bible doesn't say not to judge, period. Judge righteously. They can't do that. They don't have that authority. They don't have that. It's not in their character. It's not in their makeup. It's not in them. They're not saved. They're lost. Okay? But anyway, so we get shoved into this McGinty's court, which he should have not been there, because when Mason DeCosmo died, I exposed him, and I also knew him as a mother-hating misogynist, and he rips children from their mothers and mothers from their children, and he does horrible abuse to them. And so now with the American Disability Act, and I've got some massive stuff going on with that I'm completely, I won't get into that. I'm not going to give my cards away here, but let's just say my case is very strong, very strong. And thank God for the knowledge that I've gotten through certain people and so on, and what's been going on. But so what happened is now I get this McGinty dude, and I should have had him recused right from the start, because I had already been on the cover of every newspaper, on the TV. I talked about him, you know, the whole nine, and I just didn't know then, and I didn't have counsel at that time. And listen to me, guys. I know I talk bad about the bar membership, and I still will, but I also know very good attorneys that I work with all the time, every day. Beautiful people that are working with me to help other families with their children and with the proper laws. So we literally talk the laws, okay? And we help the families. And I do it as an advocate, and they do it as an attorney, and I don't take their role and they don't take mine, but we work very well together, okay? And we have to, because we have to, and they're willing to do it. And if they can't say or do certain things, I can. Where they're worried about certain things where I don't have to. Does that make sense? I mean, we have to worry about certain things, don't misunderstand me, but I won't get too far into that. There are some good ones out there. Not everybody went into that because they want to be these vicious demons that are out there. Not everybody did that. You just have to find them, okay? You have to find them. That's just the difference. Okay, so we get this McGinty dude. I walk in, and I don't have a counsel at this time. Now, I've never missed a court date in years and years and years of going to court. Okay, 2008, 2009, 2010, 2011, 12, 13. It's now 14, 15, 16. Okay, and I have this guy And he takes my child off the protection order just like that. So at that moment, now the father, his brother was like dealing heroin and drugs, and the father was in and out of jail and drunk. When I would go, when he would have a visit, he'd be drunk with the child. It was just horrible. And all these things trigger PTSD and other anxieties and so on and so forth. And like I said, I pray, I have faith, I have a good family, I have stability. Other people don't have that, maybe. Okay, other people might have stronger ties and so on. So it depends on how you deal. Okay, therapy. I know how to breathe. I know how to recognize it in others. That's why I do it. I know how to help others. That's actually therapy to me. Knowing that I'm helping other people is my form of therapy. Where some person might be out there doing drugs or taking medications. I don't do that. I use my choice of modality. I choose my choice of being effective. I use my choice of being proactive. I do, you know. But anyway, some of the insults of Andy Gilday: you can't be intelligent and have PTSD. This is one of them. This is one of the discriminations. Well, hold on. Let me just tell you. When he took my son off that protection order that day, and what happened that very day, I'll never forget that day as long as I live. It was May something, I forgot the date, 2016. I was in shock, and my system went into what they call fright and flight. And then I find out that the father's brother gets arrested through the NARC agency for heroin dealing and other kinds of massive drugs. And I know that the father doesn't watch the child, doesn't protect the child when he's with him, made my son do horrible things. My son raised him to hate me, but my son loves me, okay? But like, this is what these narcissistic abusers do. Okay, they can't have you, so they want to abuse you through the system. And if anybody doesn't like me talking about this, too bad, because I'm going to. That's why I don't join the dad groups. That's why I don't join the father's rights. That's why I don't. Because those groups do not help good fathers. They never will help good fathers. They're just there to abuse women. Period. And so I help good fathers. And the courts know, the ones that are halfway decent, know that the fathers that I support, they had to go through me. And to get through me, you had to be a good dad. If you got through my system, and I start to support you, and I speak as a witness in your court, and then as an advocate, and then in time the judge starts to, I don't go in qualified as an expert in domestic violence, I don't go in qualified as anything, I go in as an advocate, and then as I begin to speak, the judges begin to qualify me as an expert in ADA, as an expert in domestic violence, as an expert in whatever, because I know my shit, because I fucking live it, okay? Because I've suffered it, because my child has suffered it, and because I'm literally praying and crying almost daily for these children and the suffrage that has happened to our children across this nation and these sickos that are in these positions. So I live it. And I'm a real person, and I am exactly what you see I am. When he removed my child from that protection order, I can't even begin to tell you. Okay? At that point, around that point is when people introduced me to Jillian Gordon. She's a licensed social worker, clinical psychotherapist with 29 years of experience and a Columbia University graduate. Family court hates her because she tells the truth. And they put lesser qualified people to be therapists for people in the court, because they are not going to tell the truth, and they're going to do what the court tells them. And those people have to go through her to get their paperwork certified for any kind of a family court. They're way less credentialed. Okay, kabish? So they don't like her because she tells the truth. Well, she's the one that diagnosed me. I didn't know her. She wasn't my colleague. She wasn't my friend. She wasn't anything. I met her through people. Actually, somebody from the district attorney's office recommended her. They give her clients that have been abused in Ulster County, which they're in the millions, probably more abuse victims than there are none. And then they give her, and then a couple of other advocates / victims really liked her therapy and her work. So they recommended her. And when I went to her, my son and I, she diagnosed us. Andy Gilday has the audacity, because see, I'm winning with the American Disability Act, unbeknownst to him. And we did a federal lawsuit when this whole thing happened to my family in 2018. However, I didn't finish, and I am finishing now, because when you go through so much trauma and stress and pain and suffering, and compounded injury, when you go through that much, you don't finish things sometimes, okay? And I'm a really good finisher, actually, but when my son was back home and everything was, we were healing, we're still healing, from their abuse, okay? And it's ongoing abuse. You don't finish things sometimes because I took the focus off of that and I put it into our life, okay? And now we're going full force ahead now we're going full force ahead with others, and I have more and more women coming to me daily with the same exact, different person, same story, okay? And he'll tell one thing and one another. He just does whatever he freaking wants. These people are crazy. But here's what Andy Gilday recently did. He had the audacity to put in writing. This man is foolish because, see, they're at Title III and the court is a Title II, and the court will lose all its federal funding because if they don't respond properly to these bogus attorneys that collect money from the taxpayers and don't work. Those guys. He's one that does work because he like fights for drug dealers, but whatever. But most of them don't work. Most of them don't work at all. They show up for court. That's pretty much their job. And then they get paid and they act like they work. They act like they've seen the kids. They act like they work. 99% of them don't even write a motion. Okay. But anyway, he had the audacity to put in writing that I diagnosed myself. I diagnosed myself. Oh, what a foolish man. It's like, you know what they say? Give them enough rope. Give them enough rope. Yeah. So I'm going to leave that at that. But I'm telling you guys this because I'm sure it's going to activate some stuff in all of you to, to come. And to get the first location, please inbox me. I will send you the location. Spread this like crazy. Please come join us. Expos New York. I believe this is going to probably, hopefully, keep going. Now, there's a big Mother's Day with Liz Joy up in Albany Sunday. I won't be able to go to that, but I'm supposed to speak, but I won't be able to go to that. But I'm hoping to get somebody in my place to speak on behalf of. But it's a big Mother's Day event up at Albany. And I did put that here somewhere on my Facebook page that you guys can attend. But there's going to be a lot more. She ran for Congress. She's awesome. I speak to her, a couple times a month. Great person. I was very, 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 very impressed with her. Liz Joy, we need her. We need people like her. We need her. So we need Derek Gibson, okay? There's specific people that we need. Please be very careful of their agenda. Please, when you vote, be very careful of their actual agenda, okay? We don't want politicians. We don't want them. We don't want politicians. We want statesmen. We want human beings, okay? We the people, not we the government, we the people. You need to learn. You need to learn if you haven't learned. You need to unlearn. I see Natalie on here. She's an awesome person. Go to her. See Natalie in comments. She's a lot. She can teach you a lot. Hi to everybody again. And I'm sorry if if you didn't see this from the beginning, I recommend you go back and watch it from the beginning. And I will have more to say, but like I said, Adam and I will probably do he handles all the mental health stuff for the United Kingdom. And I'd like to talk more about that because I also want to talk about, I fight for families all the time because, you see, they can't take children from people with like PTSD or so on. It's only if those kinds of psychiatric injuries are combined with criminal type of mental illness, if that makes any sense, or the type of mental illness that makes you a danger to your children. Okay. Instead, they put children with dangerous people with horrific backgrounds. They're not even looking at it properly. They're not. But like somebody like me, stable family, it's not, this is not something I had in the past. This is something that it's also post-traumatic. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's post-traumas, okay, stress. And it makes you forget things sometimes. It makes you I'll go, where's my keys? I mean, everybody kind of does that. Or I have to really focus. I have to really make myself focus harder than the average person. Some people that have like ADD or dyslexia, they have to just know how to spend extra time to reverse stuff back. Or if they have ADD, they have to spend extra time. I know an attorney, she's got ADD. She has to spend a lot longer time than it would take me. Okay, but she's good. That doesn't mean she shouldn't have her kids. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like that. That would be also very discriminatory. Okay, and they lose their federal funding for that, and they will. Not that I'm for all that either, but my point is that these are the things that they're supposed to be following, that they're not. You got to read through the Excellence Initiative. You got to read through, all the stuff that they claim they're doing that they're not technically doing, But anyway, we'll get back to this, guys. Tuesday, May 11th. Please get a hold of me, State of New Yorkers. If you know anybody in New York who's suffering, if you really want to get rid of this the political corruption of the state of New York, high, low, and in between, join us, okay? God bless each and every one of you. Information is in the description. This will premiere on YouTube soon. Love you. Bye. And God bless. How do I shut this? Where's my glasses? Oh, there it is. I forgot how to do this. It's been so long.